This is a sports catastrophe production. Hey there, how there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter. Welcome you to another sports catastrophe on this day. And on this day, October 21st, 1975, one of the greatest home runs in World Series history was hit. Yes, it was the great Carlton Fisk home run, as you could see by his waving and all that. There was a little bit more context to that. A lot of people said that the 1975 World Series was one of the greatest played in history. Although some say the 1991 World Series was just as good. I'll talk about that in the future on this day. But anyway, the Cincinnati Reds crushed everyone in their path in the NL West. They won by 20 games. 20 games over the LA Dodgers. And then swept the Pittsburgh Pirates in the NLCS. Boston had to fight off Baltimore. Then took care of the Oakland Athletics, the three-time defending World Series champion Oakland A's at that, in a sweep in the ALCS, which was a shock. It was like, what the hell? Oakland was trying to four-peat, and they couldn't do it. So it was a tough sledding and all that. Cincy was headed to the World Series for the third time in 6 years. They fell in 1970 to Brooks Robinson and the Orioles, and 72 to the Oakland Athletics. The Red Sox were back in the World Series for the first time since 1967 after losing Game 7 to the Cardinals. This was amazing that the matchups happened. In Game 1, Boston crushed Cincy 6-0 thanks to a complete game by Louis Tiant. Don Gollett was not much there. In fact, the score was tie. It was weird that the game started at 1 o'clock in the afternoon for Games 1 and 2, by the way. So after 6.5 innings, it was 0-0. And then in the 7th, Tiant singled, and then Yastrzemski singled him home. But the floodgates opened. Clay Carroll of the Reds walked Carlton Fisk to force in a run. Rico Petrocelli hit a 2-run single. Rick Burleson hit a RBI single. And Cecil Cooper, yes, him, before he was a Milwaukee mainstay, hit a sac fly. Tiant had a 5-hitter. Game 2 was pivotal. Boston was actually up 2-1 headed to the top of the 9th. Dick Drago was coming in to the closer, and he was good. Bill Lee did pretty well for himself. However, Johnny Bench led off the 9th with a double, and then on a ground out, he went to 3rd. And then George Foster popped out. So the Red Sox were 1 out away from going up 2-0. However, Dave Concepcion hit a clutch single up the middle to tie the game. After a steal by Concepcion, Ken Griffey Sr. hit a double, scoring Concepcion with the winning run. Raleigh Eastwick got the win and evened the series. So Game 3 happened. And this was controversial. So on the night of October 14th, Boston and Cincy were fighting tooth and nail. Cincy was up 5-1 after 5 innings, but Boston put up 2 in the 9th off of Raleigh Eastwick, even though he was the closer. However, in the 10th inning, there was a lot of tenseness and all that. Sparky Anderson sent Ed Armbruster up to sacrifice in place of Eastwick. The bunt bounced high near the plate towards the first base line. Carlton Fisk was trying to pounce the ball, and Armbruster was slow to get out of the box. But Armbruster kind of impeded Fisk. And Fisk tried to throw the second to force out Geronimo, sailed over the shortstop's head, and Geronimo went to 3rd, Armbruster to 2nd. Darrell Johnson, the Boston manager, said that Armbruster should have been out for interference, but Larry Barnett, the home plate umpire, ruled otherwise. The play stood, and the Reds had the winning run on 3rd with no outs. Boston's Jim Willoughby would walk Pete Rose intentionally to load up the bases. And then it was a Ken Griffey Sr.'s time, but Sparky Anderson decided to put up Marv Redmond. He struck out, but Joe Morgan hit a base hit to get Geronimo. It was very tense and all that. In Game 4, Boston did win the game. Louis Tiant pitched 163 pitches for a complete win. That was kind of weird. that he would go through 150 pitches and all. Plus, the Red Sox won, scoring all the runs in the 4th inning. In Game 5 on the Thursday, October 16th, Don Gullett pitched well. And since he won, to go up 3-2 and force Boston to win Game 6 and 7 on home turf to win the World Series. Tony Perez got a pair of home runs in that 6-2 win. Now, there was one tiny little problem. After Game 5, Game 6 was supposed to be on Saturday, October 18th. I thought that Game 6, October 21st, was on Saturday, but I guess not. So anyway, Saturday, October 18th would be Game 6, and Sunday, the 19th, would be Game 7, if necessary. However, 3 terrible days of heavy rain in Boston forced everyone's things. However, a lot of people said that the 3-day rain delay actually made the people of the world notice about the World Series and basically give it more media coverage than usual. So, anyway, the pitching staffs got rest. Darryl Johnson put Louis T on the mound for Game 6 and Bill Lee to start Game 7 if necessary. The Reds would have Don Gullett for Game 7. So anyway, Gary Nolan would start Game 6 for the Reds. And Fred Lynn hit a 3-run home run off of Nolan to make it 3-0. So Boston was quick out of the gate. However, the 5th inning, Ken Griffey hit a triple to deep center that Fred Lynn tried to make a catch on. But unfortunately, Fred crashed into the wall and suffered a rib injury, but remained in the game. That was shocking. Charlie Bench would get an RBI single to make it 3-3. In the 7th, George Foster hit a 2-run double off the center field ball, and Cesar Geronimo hit a home run down the right field line to make it 6-3. Boston was in trouble. In the bottom of the 8th, Pedro Bourbon Jr. played for the Blue Jays, gave up an infield single to Fred Lynn, then walked Rico Petrocelli to bring the tying run to the plate. And the Reds decided to go with Raleigh Eastwick, their closer, to do something. He got Dwight Evans to strike out and retired Rick Burleson on the lineup. Bertie Carbo came to the plate because, remember, in 1975, they still had the pitchers back from themselves to the World Series. No DH rule. So Bertie Carbo came in, who I believe was a former Red, he was a former Red for a few years. So he would come in. So anyway, Sparky was about to call in a lefty from the pen to pitch to the left-handed Carbo. However, Sparky Anderson said that he didn't do it because he thought that the White Sox were bringing in a right-hander, Juan Benitez, to pinch hit for Carbo if he made the move. Carbo had bad swing timing. He fouled off 2 pitches a little late to avoid a strikeout. However, on the next pitch, he hit a 3-run home run to center field to tie the game at 6. Carbo actually yelled out to his former teammate, Pete Rose, who was on third base, "Hey, Pete, don't you wish you were that strong?" And Rose replied, "This is fun." Anyway, in the bottom of the 9th, the Red Sox looked like they were going to win. Danny Doyle walked and then got to third base on a single. So McAnamy, the 7th pitcher for the Red Sox, replaced Eastwick and intentionally walked CARLTON FISK to load the bases with no out to face Fred Lynn on a force play. Lynn flied out to Foster in foul territory and left. Danny Doyle, for some strange reason, thought that third base coach and future Red Sox manager Don Zimmer was telling him to go, but he said no, no, no. Unfortunately, Doyle was thrown out. However, the Red Sox were not out of the inning. The Red Sox could have still got a single to win the game, but Rico Petrocelli grounded out. Rose came on in the 11th inning and got hit by pitch. Griffey Sr. bunted, but Fisk got Rose at second base. Then Joe Morgan hit a deep drive to right field off Drago that looked like extra bases, even a home run. But Dwight Evans, who was playing right field at the time, made a leaping catch near the visitors' bullpen to Rob Morgan and managed to double up Griffey Sr. at first base, which meant the game could move on. Into the 12th inning, the Reds had 2 men on, but Rick Wise struck out Geronimo looking. Pat Dorsey came into the mound. He retired the last 6 batters, so no big deal. Fisk came off of a 1-0 count and lifted a sinker down the left field line. And who can forget Dick Stockton's call of the play that says, as if it's fair, the game's over. It's gone and all that. So he hit the foul pole above the Green Monster. Game over. The Red Sox won the game. CARLTON Fisk made a great home run, one of the most iconic home runs, especially with the thing that Fisk was waving his arms and watching the path down the first base line, trying to get the ball to stay fair, and it stayed fair. Now, the story is that NBC cameraman Lou Gerard, who had a camera in the left field scoreboard, was supposed to follow the flight of the ball. Unfortunately, he didn't, because there was a rat that was going to catch him and all that. So he focused on Fisk, inadvertently calling the reaction shot and changing sports TV forever. So Game 7 happened on a Wednesday night. I believe that the World Series still would be played on Saturday and Sunday during the daytime. Why Sunday during the day, I don't know, because, I mean, you're competing against the NFL. Anyhow, Game 7 happened the next night. Don Gollett had issues. Boston took him to town in the 3rd inning. After Gollett walked CARLTON Fisk to load the bases, he ended up walking Petrocelli and Dwight Evans to forcing 2 runs. Well, Yaz had an RBI single, though. So Gollett was out for Jack Bellingham. And the Reds' bullpen really went to work. Since he would put up 2 runs in the 6th inning. As Billy tried to throw a blooper pitch to Tony Perez. Why Billy did that, I don't know. Unfortunately, though, Tony Perez slammed it over the Green Monster and onto Lansdowne Street to make it 3-2. In the 7th, Ken Griffey Sr. walked, stole second, and scored on an RBI single by Pete Rose. In the 9th, Griffey led off with a walk and was sacrificed to second by Cesar Geronimo and went to third on a ground out by Dan Driesen. Jim Burden walked Rose to set up a force play. Unfortunately, Joe Morgan hit a breaking ball into center field to score Griffey Sr. with the go-ahead run. Morgan did his job, and Will McEnany retired the Sox in order. The Reds got their first world title since 1940, and Boston would have to wait yet again. Jim Burden, I believe, did not pitch, only pitched 1 game after that in the major leagues. Anyway, the Red Sox and it was 30-29 and all of that. So NBC did their stuff. Kirk Gowdy and Joe Garagiola would alternate play-by-play on TV and radio, alongside Dick Stockton and Ned Martin for the Red Sox and Marty Brennan for the Reds. Tony Kubek would do color commentary. This would be the last time that Gowdy would do play-by-play for the World Series, who was NBC's lead baseball announcer since 1966. Garagiola would take over full-time. So, this was amazing. In fact, this is the earliest World Series that which all games survive today in their entirety. All 7 years of the 75 World Series, because portions of any series broadcasts survive, but in the past, the networks would wipe old broadcasts to save money and space on their recordings and all that. So it was pretty much important to know all that. The Red Sox would suffer some losing, and by 1986, they finally got back to the World Series. But no, didn't happen that way. So anyway, it was amazing. and all that. Unfortunately, though, there would be one major problem and all that. After the 1975 World Series, Kurt Galley was removed from NBC's baseball telecast when sponsor Chrysler insisted on having Joe Garagiola, who was their spokesman, be the lead play-by-play voice. While Gowdy was on hand in the press box for Carlton Fisk's home run in Game 6, the actual calls went to Dick Stockton on TV and Ned Martin on radio. Gowdy was host of doing a lot of things, all that. Of course, a lot of, so yeah, Chrysler did all that. However, it must be said that rumors circulated that after Kirk Gowdy said all this stuff about the interference call on Armbrister in Game 3, that there were a lot of angry fans towards the Reds and towards the umpire, that since he decided to get Bowie Kuhn, who was basically the commissioner, that to pull Kirk Gowdy off because he was inciting the fans stuff. So basically, controversy was that Kurt Gowdy was replaced because of Bowie Kuhn's interference, although it wasn't done. But Gowdy would kind of come in through. I mean, he did do some games for CBS, which was weird. But yeah, Gowdy did okay for himself. A little controversial, don't you think? Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.